is quadratic equations. Okay, so I want every one of you to get your writing materials ready. So before we commence the class, and also don't forget to invite your mates, let them know the class has started. Okay, and make sure that you get your writing materials ready, because today's class is going to be interactive as usual. And don't also forget, if you are new on this channel, make sure that you subscribe to this channel, and if you are not new, ensure that you tap the like button. All right, so before we commence the class, I want us to just wait for others to join the class now before we start. Okay. All right, so I want to believe you have been informing your friends about the class. Okay, good. So now let's start with quadratic equations. All right, before we go into the definition of quadratic equations, I want to take us from the elementary, which every one of you are quite familiar with. So I want to start with what we call a linear expression. Okay, so now a linear expression is a mathematical expression which maximum power of the unknown is 1. Okay, so example, if you have x plus 1, this is an example of a linear expression, and you can see the unknown here is x, so the maximum power of x here is 1. Okay, so that makes it to be a linear expression. Okay, so now if I introduce an equation to it like this, x plus 1 equals to 2. Now this becomes a linear equation. It becomes a linear equation because it's an equation, because we are equating two parameters together. All right. Okay, and don't forget the maximum power of the unknown, which is 2, which is 1 here, make it to be a linear expression. Okay, let me give you an example of a linear expression. So if I have x plus y equals to 7, this is also an example of a linear equation. Sorry, a linear equation. Why? Because the maximum power of the unknowns that we have here is 1. So the power of x here is 1, while that of y is 1. Okay, so that makes it to be a linear equation. All right, so expression can be in this form. So this is a linear expression. All right, so then we can now move down to quadratic expression. And that is what we're going to be starting with. Okay, so a quadratic expression is a type of expression, a mathematical expression in which the maximum power of the unknown is 2. Okay, so let me give you an example. You have y squared plus 3. This is an example of quadratic expression. Why is it a quadratic expression? Because the power of the variable here, which is y, is what? Is 2. So whenever you have an expression which power of the variable is 2, now we call that an equation, or a quadratic, sorry. So it is called a quadratic expression. All right. So if I introduce an equality sign, maybe equals to y, now this becomes a quadratic equation. Why? Because we have an equality sign here, and 2, because the maximum power of the unknown is 2 here. All right, so that makes it to be a quadratic equation. All right, so now in general, whenever I want to write a quadratic equation, so it's commonly written in this form: ax squared plus bx plus c. This is a quadratic expression. Y, A, B, C are constants. and the variable here is what? Is x. So you can see the maximum power of the unknown here is 2. So that makes it to be a quadratic expression. So if I want to make it an equation, I will just introduce an equality sign. Now this becomes a quadratic equation. We also have several types of expressions and equation. Okay, so the one that the maximum power of the unknown is 3, we call it cubic equation or cubic expression. So we also have quartic equation, which maximum power of unknown is 4, and so on. But we are not going there, so we are going to stop here. Quadratic equation. Now, before we go properly into quadratic equation, we have to learn how to factorize quadratic expression. All right, so that is what we're going to dwell on for today. Okay, so once we're able to do that, we should be able to solve quadratic equation. And let me quickly say this. Now, in solving quadratic equation, we have 4 methods. Okay, at our own level here, 4 methods to solve a quadratic equation. Okay, so we can use factorization method, graphical method, formula method, and also completing the square method. Okay, so those are the methods that we are going to be adopting here. So, and those 4 methods. Okay, but before we go into solving quadratic equation, I want us to learn how to factorize quadratic expression, because that will help us now to solve quadratic equation using factorization method. Okay, all right, so let us look at some example on the quadratic expression. Example 1. Factorize the following expressions. Roman numeral 1. Okay. All right, so these are the questions. You have to factorize the following expressions. So we have this. So we start with the first one. But before we solve this, if you are new in this channel and you have not subscribed to this channel, ensure you subscribe. And don't forget to tap the like button. Now let me see. I want to believe every one of you can see the board clearly. All right, can you, if you can see the board clearly, I want you to indicate so that every one of us will be carried along. Okay, so can we all see the board clearly? Can we see the board clearly? Okay, yes, Folashade, you're welcome to class. I can see show me day, you're welcome to class. And yes, Toyosi, you're welcome to class. Okay. And I can also see Pale, you're welcome to class. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. Yes. So we can see the board clearly. All right. Okay. So now let us look at the first question we have here. You have to factorize this quadratic expression. The first one we have x squared plus 6x. Now this is a quadratic expression. Now whenever you want to factorize an expression of this form, this is a binomial expression. Okay, so now you look for the number that's or the variable that is going to go in these two terms. Okay, what can completely go here? I can also completely go here. All right. So, and what is that number? That is going to be x. X can go here. X can also go here. All right. So that is the common factor. Okay. So we have x, which is also called the GCD, greatest common divisor. Okay. So now, when you divide x squared is the same thing as x times x. So when you divide this by x, so we'll be left with x. So x will be here. Now we have 6x. 6x is the same thing as 6 times x. So when you divide it by x, okay, so x will cancel x. So we are left with plus 6. So this is going to be the answer to that problem. So that's how to factorize the quadratic expression. Okay, now let's look at the second one. We have y squared minus 1. Y squared minus 1. How do I factorize this? Now, what comes to mind is this identity, which we call difference of two squares. So whenever you have x squared minus y squared, now the result is going to be x minus y times x plus y. So I want you to put this one in your jotter. So you write it somewhere in your jotter. So whenever you have difference of two squares, that is subtractions of two squares. Now we have a square here, this is another square. So just pick the base, subtract the base from each other and also add. And you put them in brackets. So that's all. Now I'm going to express this one in this form. So we have y squared minus 1 squared, because 1 times 1 is still the same thing as 1. Okay, so in this case, now if I compare this with this, now this is going to be my x and this is y. Okay, so now this expression turns to what? We have y minus 1, y plus 1. Okay, so that's how to factorize that. So that will be the answer. Okay, I want to believe you get that. Good. All right, now let's look at the third one. Here we have x squared minus x minus 6. So how do we factorize this? So I need your attention here. Now, when you look at this quadratic expression, so I told you earlier that the general form of quadratic expression is of this form: ax squared plus bx plus c. Okay, so let's assume this a is 1. Okay, so now what we have here is going to be the sum of the products, and what we have here is going to be the products. Okay, the sum of the roots, sorry, sum of roots, and this one is product of the roots. So what do I mean? Now you bring out the coefficient of x out, and what we have here. So now when you look at this minus x, what's the coefficient of minus x? That is minus 1. So that is called the sum. So we write that out. Sum is minus 1. Now the next thing now is the products. Now look at what we have here. The coefficient of x here is x squared here is 1. So, and what we have here is minus 6. So use 1 to multiply minus 6. This is the same thing as minus 6. So we have products to be what? Minus 6. I hope you understand that. Now let me give you another, before we solve this, let me give you another quadratic equation. Now we're going to identify the sum and product. Now look at this. X squared plus 3x minus 4. Now look at this. If I want to solve this, the first thing is to check out for the sum and product. Now what do I call the sum? The sum is the coefficient of x. Coefficient of x, the number beside x. Just like what I have here, the number beside x here is minus 1. Okay, so the number beside x here is the sum. So we write sum to be plus 3. Okay, now what is the product? Now the second thing you are getting is your product. Now the product is whatever you have here, use it to multiply what you have here. So in this case now is 1. So that means 1 times minus 4. That gives you what? Minus 4. So the product is what? Minus 4. Okay, so you must be able to identify your sum and product. That will help you to be able to factorize conveniently a quadratic expression. Okay, now let me give you this. You tell me the sum and product. So once you get the answer, you drop your answer in the comment section. Now let's look at this. R squared minus 11x plus 7. Now can you tell me, okay, this is R, sorry. Now, can you tell me in this case now, what is the sum and what is the product of this quadratic expression? Can you tell me the sum and product? So if you have your answer, drop that in the comment section. The sum and product of that quadratic expression. Yes. All right. Okay. So PCK, I can see what you have there. You have your sum to be minus 11, product 7. Okay, all right. Yes, I'm waiting for others. The sum and product. Okay, I can only see one person giving an answer. Okay, Paula Shade, you're welcome. Okay, sum is minus 11. Yes. And what is your product? Okay. Yeah. Okay, I can see Toyosi's results. Okay, good. All right, you guys are doing very well. You're doing well. Okay, now can I test you with this one? Okay, so I think we are all correct. Sum is the coefficient of R here, that is minus 11, and product is plus 7. Okay, so that's the answer. So now let me try you with this. Let me see what you're going to have. You're going to locate the sum and product for me. Now see, you have minus 3x plus 9 minus plus x squared. Okay, now look at this quadratic expression. Now can you tell me the sum and products now? Because we must be able to identify that before we solve this problem. So once every one of us can get this, then we can go ahead and factorize this. So now what is the sum and product of this quadratic expression? Okay, so if you have your answer, you drop that in the comment section. Let me see what we have. Okay, what is the sum and what is the product? Okay, yes, I can see okay, all right, see, hold on, PCK, finding the factor, we still want to learn how to identify sum and the products. So after that, we can go ahead and factorize. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, yes, we have product is 9. Okay, sum is okay. All right, this time around, I now have different answers. Okay, yes, I have different answers. Okay, Marinette, you're welcome to class. So sum is minus 3. Okay, yes. Uber, you need to specify what is 9, what is minus 3. Okay, so okay, all right. Any other person? Okay, so because of our time, we need to locate that. I can see good number of us are doing very fine. Now, I told you earlier that the sum is the coefficient of x. Now, coefficient of x in this respect now is minus 3. And the product is this, the number that is independent of x. So, product is 9. Okay, so now the last one I'm going to give you for today before we move on with the solution to this third one. So identify the sum and products for this. 8x minus 3 minus x squared plus 7. Okay. Okay, so what is sum? What is sum and what is products? Okay, so I need you to tell me the sum and the product. You have to be very careful. So check it very well. So I don't want any of you to make mistakes. So what is the sum and product of this quadratic expression? Now drop your answer in the comment section. Let's see what you have. Okay. Okay. All right. I can see. Show me this answer. We have sum is 8x. Okay. Yes. PCK, I'm waiting for your answer. Aishat Marinette, what is your answer? Okay. Yes. Okay. 8 is the sum and the 7 is the product. Okay. Are you sure? All right. Okay. Show me the, you have your product to be 7. Okay. Yes. Falasha, this sum is minus 8. Okay. All right. Is there another person that wants to drop something contrary to what we have here? Okay, good. Now, let me show you this because I observed that a good number of us missed it this time around. So once I tell you the answer, you must give me a round of applause. You know, so if you didn't get the answer, but if you get the answer, you give yourself a round of applause. Now, let's look at it. I said sum is the coefficient of x. So coefficient of x here is 8. So that is plus 8, or you just write 8. So now, what is product? Now, I told you that product is the number independent of x times the coefficient of x squared. Now, what is the coefficient of x squared here? That is minus 1. Okay, many of you did not take note of that. So I told you that to get the product here, you multiply the coefficient of x squared here by this, and that gives you the product. All right, so this time around now, the product is minus 7 and not plus 7. Do you get that? Okay, so now give it to me. So that is it. So for the last time, just to be sure that you have gotten what I just explained now. So let's find sum and product of this. 11x squared plus 3 minus 7x. Okay, so now here, can you find the sum and product of this? And let's look out for sum and product. Sum and product of this quadratic expression. Yes, once you have your answer, you drop in the comment section. So this time around, I expect every one of you to get the answer. Okay, good. Thank you for clapping for me. Yes. What do you have? The sum and product. Make sure you are careful about that. Okay. Olatunbosun, you are welcome to class. Okay. All right, I can see that. Okay. Yes. Toyosi, I can see your answer. Your sum is minus 77, y product is plus 3. Okay. Yes. Sum is minus 77. Show me that I can see that. Yeah. And the product is plus 3. Ensure you don't follow the crowd. Yes. I'm waiting for others. Okay. Sum is minus 77. For Lashade, I can see your answer. What is your product? What is your product? Okay. All right. Your product is 3. Okay. Okay. All right. Any other person with something different? All right. Yes. Now let me now give you the answer to that. So again, if you miss the answer, you make sure you clap for me. You miss the answer. Now I told you that sum is the coefficient of x. Coefficient of x. This is x. The number beside x is what? Is minus 7. So sum is minus 7. Now don't forget, sum is the coefficient of x. Okay? So we have minus 7. Now what is the product? Product is the number here that is independent of x times the coefficient of x squared. Now look at this one now. I told you that the product is 1 because coefficient of x squared here is 1. So 1 times minus 6. That is how we got the product. So you must be multiplying something to get the product. Okay, so coefficient of x squared times this number independent of x. That's minus. So that's how you got the products. So in this case now, coefficient of x here is 11, and the number independent of x is 3. Okay, so we have 3 times 11, so that gives you plus 33. So this is going to be the product. So that is the product. Now, so I want to believe that you've gotten it. So this last one, I was thinking this is going to be the last one, so because I want every one of you to get that before I proceed. So now the last one here that I'm going to give you, so you're going to identify the sum and product. So if you are given this q square, or sorry, okay, I'm giving 3q square minus 12 plus 3q. Now, what is the sum and what is the product? What is the sum and what is the product of this quadratic expression? All right. So drop your answer in the comment section. Let's see what you have. every one of you must be doing something. Please don't follow the crowd. Don't follow the crowd. Even if your friend drops something and solve your own, make sure you drop what you have. Don't follow the crowd. So what do you have as the sum and the products? Okay, yes. Olashade, yes, you have products to be that. Okay, so let's wait. Okay, let's see. Let's see what we have here. Okay, now waiting for others to drop their answer. Buju Bore, what do you have there? Okay, so you're welcome to class. Okay, yes. So I'm teaching from Nigeria. Okay, so that's it. Yeah, yeah. Okay, Olatunbosun. We have sum is 3. And what is your product? Okay, right, okay. Okay, because of our time, I want to believe um, good number of us are doing fine, but I'm not seeing others' products. I'm only seeing your sum. Okay, so uh, okay, so where is okay, I can see Folashadi's okay. Folashade, what is your product? I can't see your product here. So what is your product? Okay. All right. Now because of our time, now let's look at it together. Now, when you look at this, now the sum is the coefficient of Q here, and that is plus 3. Plus 3. The product is coefficient of x of Q squared multiplied by minus 12. And that gives you minus 36. Okay, so if you got the answer, put your hands together for yourself. You give yourself a round of applause. And if you did not get that, so you make sure you clap for me. So that clap is for me. All right, so that's how to do it. So you use this number here, which is negative 12, to multiply 3 here. So you have negative 36. So coefficient of Q is your sum. All right, so now let us now move down to the question we're solving. Okay, so we have x squared minus x minus 6. Now this is the quadratic expression. So in this case, the sum here is what? Is minus 1, while the product is 1 times minus 6, that is minus 6. Okay, so that is the product. Now, what do we do with this sum and product? Now, you need to think of two numbers such that when you add the numbers together, you have minus 2, minus 1. Sorry, it's going to give you the sum. And when you multiply the two numbers together, you're going to have minus 6. So now let's begin to think of the numbers. And don't forget, those numbers must be factors of the product. All right, so that will help me to easily get this is so factor of minus 6. So factor of minus 6 are those numbers that will go in minus 6. We have plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6. Those are the numbers that will completely go in minus 6. Okay, so then you now begin to look at those numbers such that when you multiply them together, we have minus 6. When you add them together, you have minus 1. So what are the two numbers? If you can do that, now let's look at it. I have 1 times 6. I can have 1 and 6 because 1 times 6 is going to give me 6. So So, but since I need minus 6, so I'll put minus there, and also I can have 1 and minus 6. If I multiply this and this together, I will have minus 6. Or I have it this way, 2 and minus 3, or minus 2 and 3. So these numbers, these pairs, if I multiply them together, I'm going to have minus 6. Okay, so 1 times 6, minus 1 times 6 is going to give you minus 6. 1 times minus 6 is minus 6. 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. And minus 2 times 3 is going to give you minus 6. Okay, so now among all of these pairs, which of them, when you add together, gives you minus 1? Okay, so I need you to drop that in the comment section. Which of these 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs, when added together, you have minus 1? So that is the pair we are looking for. So which one will give us minus 1? Yes. Which one will give us minus 1? Which of the pair will give us minus 1? Okay, Ajayi, Amida, you're welcome to class. Okay, so which of the pair is going to give us minus 1? Okay, I can see show me this answer. Okay, good. So now I believe others will drop their answer. All right, so now it's going to be 2 and minus 3. We see once you have a depth of minus 3 and you have 2, so when you pay 2, you'll be left with minus 1. So minus 3 minus 2 is going to give you minus 1. So what are we doing with these two numbers? Now, we want to split this middle number or middle term, which is minus x, into two parts, so that what we are going to have here is going to be 4 terms altogether. So now this will be written, this middle term will be written as x squared. Now I'll write minus 3x plus 2x minus 6. You can see now this expression now have turned to this. Hope you get that. So you will see now minus 3x plus 2x, that gives you minus 1x. All right, so we'll change this to this. All right, after doing that, we pick the first pair. What is the common factor? You know, once I'm asking for the common factor, I'm asking for the GCD, that is the greatest common divisor. What is the greatest common divisor here? That's x. So I bring out x, I open a bracket. So when you divide x squared by x, you'll be left with x. You divide minus 3x by x, you have minus 3. Okay, the same thing also apply to this second pair. So what is the common factor? The GCD, that is 2 plus 2. We have plus 2. Now when you divide 2x by 2, you are left with x. When you divide negative 6 by 2, you have negative 3. Okay, so can you see that? Now look at it. We now have the same term inside the bracket. So we factor that out. Okay, so when you factor that, you have x plus x minus 3. Sorry, x minus 3 has been factored out. So what you are left with now is x and what? Plus 2. So you put that into brackets. We have x plus 2. So that is the answer to this. So we have factorized this quadratic expression. Okay, yes. Can we look at the next one? Now we have y squared plus 7x plus 10. Okay, so now how do we do this? Now once we have this type of, sorry, this is supposed to be y. Okay, so this is y. Okay, so now how do we factorize this? So you need to tell me what the sum and product of this quadratic expression is. What is the sum and what is the product? Because that is what we need to factorize this quadratic expression. So Drop your answer in the comment section. And don't forget, if you are new in this channel and you have not subscribed to this channel, ensure you do that. And don't forget to give a like tone to this class. Okay, so yes, what is the sum and what is the product of that quadratic expression? Yes, sum, products, sum, product. Okay, the sum is 7, and what is the product? Okay, okay, others. I'm waiting for others. Okay, this code. I'm seeing you for the first time. You're welcome to class. All right. So yes, the sum. I can also see Opeyemi. You're welcome to class. All right. Okay. Products. All right. Now let's look at it together. Yes. Now the sum is the coefficient of y, the number beside y. That is the sum. So the sum is plus 7. And what is the product? The product is what? Is 10. 1 times 10. Coefficient of y squared, which is 1. Okay, the number beside y squared. We multiply this number independent of y. Okay, so, and that is going to be what? 1 times 10. 1 times 10 is 10. So that gives us the product. Okay, so what is the next thing to do? You look for two numbers such that when you multiply the two numbers together, you have 10. And when you add the same two numbers together, you have plus 7. So can you tell me what are the two numbers? So you drop that in the comment section. And don't forget what I told you. The numbers must be factor of 10. Okay, so just begin to think of factors of 10. So that will help you now to get the number. I think that is simple. You should be able to. What are those two numbers? When you multiply them together, you have 10. And when you add together, you have 7. So can you drop that in the comment section? Let's see. Two numbers such that when you add together, you have 7. And when you multiply, you have 10. Yes, I need someone to give me the correct answer before we commence. Anybody? Okay. All right. I can see show me the an answer. So 5 and 2. I think that is correct. So let's look at 5 and 2. We have 5, 2. Okay. So see, when you add these together, you have 7. And when you multiply this together, you have what? You have 10. So that means the two numbers are 5 and 10. 5 and 2. Sorry, 5 and 2. So this quadratic expression turns to y squared plus 5y plus 2y plus 10. You can see what we just did now. We have splitted this into two parts, just like we did here now. We splitted minus x into two parts. So you get the method now. So we split this into two parts. So there are uncountable ways of splitting it, but there's only one way that will suit what we need it for, is by looking for the sum and product and finding two numbers such that when it's multiplied together, you have the product, and when added together, you have the sum. Okay, so now take the first pair. What is the common factor? The GCD, the greatest common factor. So that is what? Y. So now when you divide y squared by y, you have y. When you divide 5y by y, you are left with what? 5. Okay, so the common factor here, the GCD here is what? Is 2. 2 can go here, 2 can also go here. So we bring out 2. We have 2. When you divide 2y by 2, you are left with y. When you divide 10 by 2, you have 5. Okay, so what is the common factor here? What can go here can also go here. That is y plus 5. So you bring the ones we have in the bracket, you bring them out. You just write single y plus 5. Okay, so you are left with this. So now you put these two in bracket. You have y plus 2. So, and this is the answer to the problem. I want to believe you get that. Okay, good. So now let's look at this last one. We have y squared plus 4y minus 12. Okay, so this is the quadratic expression. So we have to factorize this. Now we need to identify our sum and product. So I want to believe every one of you can do that now. Now the sum here is the coefficient of y. That is plus 4. We have plus 4. Y the product is 1, coefficient of y square, which is 1, times negative 12. And that gives us negative 12. It's still the same thing. All right. So after getting the sum and product, you look for two numbers such that when multiplied together, you have negative 12. And when you add together, you have plus 4. So what are the two numbers? So I just begin to think of factors of minus 12. So think of 1, think of plus or minus 1, plus or minus what? 2. Okay, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 4, plus or minus 6, plus or minus 12. Okay, you can see. So which one will suit what we needed for there? So I want you to tell me what would that one be? Or you want to drop that? Okay, so now if it's the same thing what you have, so that's good. So we have plus 6 and minus 2. Now look at this. These two numbers. They are all, the two numbers are factors of minus 12. Now, when I multiply this and this together, plus 6 times minus 12, minus 2, I have minus 12. Now when you add this and this together, that's 6 minus 2. That gives you plus 4. So the two numbers are this. So now this expression turns to y squared plus 6y minus 2y minus 12. Okay. So now let's look at the first pair. What is the GCD? The greatest common factor or divisor. Okay. So what is that? We have y. So y goes in y squared, we have y. Y goes in 6y, we have plus 6. Now here, what is the GCD here? So that is minus 2. So minus 2. So when you divide minus 2y by minus 2, you have y. When you divide minus 12 by minus 2, you have plus 6. So in most cases, if we are doing the right thing, what we have in the bracket will always be the same thing. So now, look at it. We have two terms here now. The common factor, what can go here can also go here. That is y plus 6. And that's what you're going to factor out. That is your GCD. You have y plus 6. So when you divide this by y plus 6 here, you are left with y. And when you divide this by y plus 6, you are left with minus 2. Okay, so, and that is going to be the answer to that problem. So I want to believe you guys understand that. All right, so if you have not subscribed to this channel, ensure you do that straight away. Okay, thank you for doing that, and don't forget to tap the like button. Now can we look at another problem? So but before I solve that problem, I'm going to give you like a minute to attempt the problem before we now solve the problem together. Okay, these are the questions. So I want you to quickly do factorize the first question we have here. B squared minus 14b plus 49. Now let's quickly do that before we solve the problem together. Ensure you tax your brain, make sure you are doing something. Okay, so I want to believe you're already trying it. Just like I used to tell you, make sure you tax your brain. Even if you didn't get the answer, you see, once you practice, once you make an attempt, gradually you become a master of what you are doing. All right, so it's always good when you make an attempt before it's being solved generally. So I want to believe every one of you is doing that now. Okay, so don't forget the procedure. You look for the sum and product. After doing that, you find a way of finding two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have the product, and when you add together, you have the sum. Okay, I think somebody have solved that. Okay, I can see, show me this answer. All right, that's very good. Very smart of you. Okay. Yes, I want to believe others too are also trying it. Now, let us solve the problem together and see what do we have for the first one. Now, this is a quadratic expression in terms of b and not in terms of x, in terms of b. All right, so I need to identify the sum and product. So what is the sum and what is the product? So now the sum is the coefficient of b, and that is minus 4. So you have minus 14, sorry, minus 14. And while the product is plus 49, that's 1 times 49. Don't forget, don't just always pick this. You have to ensure that the coefficient of b square here, or any variable square, is not greater than 1. So if it is, so you just have to use it to multiply this. Okay, so we have 49. All right, so you look for two numbers such that when you multiply together, you have 49. When you add together, you have minus 14. The two numbers must be product of 49. So we have negative 7 and negative 7. You can see when you add negative 7 and negative 7 together, you have negative 14. When you multiply negative 7 by negative 7, you have positive 49. You get that? Okay, so the two numbers are this. All right, so now this expression turns to b squared minus negative 7b minus negative 7b plus 49. All right, you get that? Because when you sum these together, it's going to give you negative 14b. Okay, so now what is the common factor here? The GCD here is b. Okay, so when you divide this by b, you have b. Divide minus 7b by b, so you have negative 7. Right here, what is the common factor here? That's negative 7. Okay, so negative 7. So when you divide this one by negative 7, you have b. Okay, when you divide this one by negative 7, you have negative 7. Okay, so now what is the common factor here and here? The common factor is b minus 7. So you are left with b minus 7. So you have this. So, and this is going to be your answer, or you write it this way, b minus 7 raised to the power of 2. So that is it. All right. So I hope you get that now. So if you solve it, so You can cross-check with your answer if it's the same thing. All right, now let's look at the second one. The second one, we have u squared minus 12u minus 13. Okay, so we have two numbers. What's our sum and what is product? So we have sum is minus 12 and product is 1 times minus 13. That is going to give you minus 13. Okay, so now you look for all factors of minus 13. All factors of minus 13 are plus or minus 1, plus or minus 13. That's all, because 13 is what? Is a prime number. All right. So how do you combine it now? So you can have minus 1 and 13, or you have 1 and minus 13. Okay, so which one will suit what we need it for? And this second one is the one that we're going to choose. Because when you look at it, this one, when you add this and this together, you have plus 12. And what we have here is not plus 12. So, but you look at this now. 1 and minus 13. That gives you what? Minus 12. So that is what we need. So we change this middle term to minus 13u plus u. And that is the same thing as minus 12u. Can we do that? Okay, so we have this to be u squared. This 1, we have plus 1u. Plus 1u can still be written as plus u. Okay, minus 13u. Okay, we have minus 13u minus 13. Okay, now what's the next thing now? You look for the common factor. What is common to these two terms? That is u. So u is common. So when you divide this by u, you have u. Divide this by u, you have plus 1. And look at these two terms. What is the GCD? The common factor, that's minus 13. You have minus 13. When you divide this by minus 13, you have u. When you divide this by minus 13, you have plus 1, because minus will actually cancel minus. Okay, so what is the common factor here? The GCD, we have two terms. The first term is u times u plus 1, while the second one is minus 13u plus 1. Okay, so what's the common factor? That is u plus 1. Okay, so when you divide this by u plus 1, you are left with u. Divide this by u plus 1, you are left with minus 13. And this is going to be the answer to this problem. All right, so yes, I want to believe you guys have learned one or two things. Okay, don't forget, if you are new in this channel, ensure you subscribe, and also don't forget to tap the like button. And also I want to encourage you, you can go through my previous videos, so make sure you go through them. There are several classes under quadratic equations. You can always learn one or two things, so ensure you go through the videos, and don't forget to share the video with your friends. Let them know about the class. Okay, so and just like I used to tell you, if you want to be better in mathematics, make sure you keep on solving. Don't relent. Even if you solve some problems and you're unable to get the answer, you don't need to be discouraged. If you see any great mathematician, ask such person. That person must have failed before, because that is it. Must have failed before. Once you fail and you didn't relent, you become better. So I want to encourage you, let's make mathematics to be a fun. And I want you to build confidence in mathematics. Build yourself and believe in yourself. Many students have this phobia for mathematics. They have it at the back of their mind that probably maybe they can't do it. And honestly, I can tell you, if you pick interest in mathematics, you find out that mathematics is actually afraid of you. You are afraid of mathematics. The reverse is the case. It's all actually afraid of you. So every one of you should try as much as possible to practice every day. Make it a routine. Make sure you practice every day. If you do that, you move closer to mathematics. mathematics will also move closer to you. So thank you very much for joining the class and always being there on my channel every time I'm on here. So always encourage your friends. You share this video with your friend. Now you can always do that. Share it with the platform. Let them know about the class. Okay, those ones that we have done before, you can share the videos. Let it go viral so that in the next class we have a good number of students in the channel. All right, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.